Can you hear me? Unmute. Can you unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm going to let everybody in.
Let's do it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to webinar number 2 for the James C. Justice National Scout Camp at the Summit. We are super excited to have you on this evening. We are going to get started here in about 90 seconds. We'll get started in about 90 seconds. In the meantime, please go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen and enter for our drawing this evening. Again, welcome to the James C. Justice National Scout Camp webinar number 2 for this evening. We will get started here shortly. In the meantime, please go ahead and enter our drawing. We will have a couple of giveaways during our meeting. So please go ahead and enter that drawing by scanning that QR code, and we will get started very soon. All right, everyone, take just another moment to scan that QR code to enter for our drawing this evening, and then we will get started here in about 30 seconds. So again, we'll get started in about 30 seconds, at which time that QR code will disappear. So make sure you enter, and if you win, we will send you some Sweet Summit swag right to your door. So make sure you enter to win, and we'll get started in about 15 seconds. So this is the last chance to make those entries before we get started. All right, the time is now 7:03, so we are going to go ahead and get started. We'll leave that QR code up there for just another moment. As we get started, I want to thank you again for joining us for our second webinar this evening. Joining the webinar and presenting this evening, you have me. I am Johnny Tracy. I am the James C. Justice National Scout Camp Director here at the Summit. We also have Brent Pete, who is our Scout Camp Program Director, on the call this evening. Brent is at the Summit year-round, at least for right now, as one of our seasonal recruiters. So we are super happy to be with you this evening, and we're super happy to continue our preparations for a fantastic summer at the Summit. So as a reminder, you can ask questions and answers through the chat feature of the Zoom meeting from now until the end of the meeting. At the very end of the meeting, we will enable participants to unmute themselves. So if you have a question that you would rather ask aloud, you can save that until the end. Otherwise, we will be answering questions in the chat throughout the meeting. So please feel free to submit any questions that you have, and we'll be happy to answer those. A reminder on the scope of the meeting and taking notes. So the information included in this webinar, just like as the last webinar, is not exhaustive. It's not 100% of the things that you need to know, although it does include many of the things you need to know. You don't have to worry about feverishly taking notes. So we, as last time, I will send a summary email with all of the documents, a PDF of the presentation that we use, and some other notes, thoughts, answers to questions, things like that following the meeting. Again, the goal to get that post-meeting follow-up email to you is 24 hours. Sometimes I need a little grace on that 24 hours, so thank you in advance for that, but I usually get pretty close. Finally, unit leaders, please feel free to share the recordings that we'll send along with any information that we share with any of your unit stakeholders. We want to make sure that everyone has all of the information they need for a successful visit. So please don't hesitate to share, and please reach out if you ever need anything. In that spirit, here are some key contacts for you as you prepare to participate in summer camp at the summit. Like I mentioned before, my name is Johnny Tracy. I'm the program manager for both Justice Scout Camp and the Summit Experience. So if you have a group coming to the Summit Experience, you and I will be on a lot of webinars together this season. Not that many, but a few. Additionally, if you have any registration or payment questions, the registration team at summit.program@scouting.org is always happy to help. Additionally, Brent Pete, as I mentioned before, he is our seasonal program director who lives and works at the summit and is up here year-round at this time as a seasonal recruiter. And so you can reach out to him also. As a quick reminder, when you are contacting us for assistance, please reference the unit expedition number in the format that is here. So this is an example of an expedition number that is assigned once you place your registration. This helps us locate your registration a little bit more easily. We can find your information without that expedition number, but it is helpful. Okay. So this evening, we're going to begin with a discussion on some program elements and some program considerations for this summer. So that includes a couple of points of discussion. I will start off the discussion, and then I'll hand it over to Brent for some additional details and some further information. So the kind of main topic this evening, or the main new topic, is the program schedule. So the program schedule is in a shareable form, and that will be included in the follow-up email to this meeting. That program schedule will include all of the finalized programs, primarily merit badges, but also other adventure programs, buy-up programs, and some other opportunities that will be offered to your scouts here at Justice National Scout Camp at the Summit in the 2024 season. The program schedule that we will share includes all of the programs that are confirmed as of today. We may expand the program schedule at a later date or on an ongoing basis. But for now, all of the items on that schedule will be available for registration once the time comes for individual registration. So we'll talk a little bit more about the structure of the sessions that we offer here in just a moment. And as a reminder, we use the Black Pug platform, which is a platform I know that many of you know and with which you're familiar already. If you're not, don't worry. We will provide detailed written instructions, and we'll make ourselves available for one-on-one assistance as needed. Our main goal is to ensure that everyone has exactly what they need and is well prepared when that registration day comes along. So that is kind of a background. So at this point, I am going to turn it over to Brent, who's going to tell us a little bit about the structure of our merit badge sessions and give us some additional information. Brent?
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone here virtually. So jumping straight into our session structure. So maybe a little bit different than you might have experienced at other Scouts BSA resident camps. We have a block schedule here at the Summit. So that means that you will have a morning session and an afternoon session every day. You can see the times there: 8:30 to 11:30 for the morning, 1:30 to 4:30 for the afternoon. So many of our merit badges are only one of those 3-hour blocks. So in that 3-hour block, your scout will complete the merit badge requirements that we cover here at the Summit, and that will conclude the instruction for that merit badge, and they won't have to go back to that class for the week. However, there are some merit badges that, be it because they're more in-depth or more of a serious topic, are 2-block sessions. So some of those you'll have a 2-block session in the same day. You can see some of the examples there on the left column for what would be a same-day 2-block session. So for instance, automotive maintenance. A scout would go to that session starting at 8:30. They would break for lunch at 11:30. and then return to automotive maintenance at 1:30, and then complete that session at 4:30. To contrast that, we have two block sessions such as cooking merit badge. So that will be a morning session and then another morning session. So for instance, a scout may participate in cooking merit badge Monday morning, and then they would return to cooking merit badge Tuesday morning to complete that merit badge instruction. So on the Black Pug registration system, we will do our best to make sure that we encourage and mandate that you register for both of those sessions. So hopefully what we will make happen is so that when you click on one, the other one will automatically populate in your schedule. But we ask that the unit leaders that are registering their scouts make sure that their scout is signed up for both blocks for these two block sessions so that we can provide the entirety of the program for these topics. Johnny, can we see the next slide, please? So this is an example of the program schedule. We showed one of these at the first webinar, but here is it again. So you can see, for instance, on that Scout Craft section, which is second from the bottom, the top row has cooking 1 of 2. So the second session of that would be Tuesday morning. To contrast, we have, let's see, what's a good one? Welding. So in life skills, which is the third section from the top, the bottom row of that is welding merit badge. So you would have the first section of welding in the morning, and then the scout would return in the afternoon to complete welding merit badge. I think that's a comprehensive way of covering it. Please, if you have any questions, put those in the chat or give us, contact us so that we can help you through that registration process. And here is another way to demonstrate the concepts that we're talking about here. So canoeing is a 1/2 day, 3-hour session to complete the merit badge. So that would be completed Monday morning. Welding, like I said, is going to be a full day. And then cooking, you have half of it Monday morning and then the other half Tuesday morning. So we do have prerequisites for merit badges. So some of these are ones that can't be completed at the summit facilities. Others are ones that need to be completed with the family or the unit or require time that we just don't have at camp. Whatever the case, we encourage scouts to complete these prerequisites before they arrive at camp. However, if they need to, they can complete them upon their return to their unit. However, you would need to find a local merit badge counselor to get those signed off. These prerequisites cannot be completed at camp. So please make sure that your scouts are aware of this, that if they do not complete those prerequisites, we cannot give them a complete blue card at the end of camp. So we will be getting you a finalized prereq list very shortly in that post-meeting follow-up that Johnny is going to send out tomorrow. There is a listing that can be found currently in the Leader's Guide. However, there have been some changes to merit badge requirements since we finalized that list. So please reference this follow-up email for the most up-to-date list of prerequisites. Any prerequisite that your scouts complete can be given credit for by bringing reasonable proof. So that could be a write-up of it, photographs of it being completed, or a signed note from a parent or unit leader. We do not accept a scout telling us that they've completed the prerequisite as valid proof of that requirement being completed. Next slide. So here's a look at what your day might look like. So a couple of special ones, Sunday and Friday are on the right. So Sunday is going to be your arrival day, where we will be very excited to have you join us at camp and greet you with all of the cheer and enthusiasm that you would want from a summer camp. And then Friday is when we would sorrowfully say goodbye. There are some special considerations on both of those days that we have to take into account. The two biggest ones are campfire programs, which are at 8 o'clock. So be it Sunday or Friday, that campfire is going to start. The campfire program is going to begin at 8 o'clock p.m. And the first part of that is going to be walking as a big camp group over to the campfire ring. And then the campfire itself will begin at 8:30. Sunday will be your arrival and check-in. So we're going to ask that you arrive by 2:00 p.m. We understand that sometimes units have long ways to travel or end up delayed, and we will be as accommodating as we can for that. However, we do have a tour that we want to give you. We need to get you checked in, and of course your medical forms. So the later that you arrive, the more condensed that timeline is going to be. And likely the first thing that ends up getting cut down is that tour. So hopefully we want to give you that full tour, but if you arrive late, then we may only be able to hit some highlights. Your typical daily schedule is going to have your breakfast, morning flags, and then that 3-hour morning session that we looked at earlier. Keynote for all of you folks on this webinar is the leader meeting at 9:30. That's going to be hosted by our favorite camp director, Johnny Tracy, and it's going to be all of the information that you need to know for your unit to be successful here at camp. We're going to have a break for lunch at noon and then jump straight back into the afternoon session at 1:30. After that's going to be evening flags and dinner. Another key point here to pass on to your senior patrol leaders. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we'll be having an SPL meeting at 5:15, so that's right at the beginning of dinner, where I will share some tips and tricks with your senior patrol leaders so that, again, your unit can be as successful as possible in camp. Another thing I would like to point out are quiet hours from 10:30 to 5:30. Camp is a demanding environment and one that takes a lot of energy out of our scouts. So we'd like to make sure that they can get their rest in the evening. So please, please, please help us enforce those quiet hours so that everyone can get a good night's sleep. So a quick reminder here, the Justice Scout Camp program is focused heavily on advancement. So our focus is going to be on those merit badge programs and on that Brown Sea Island program where we can give the scouts opportunities to advance and rank. The high adventure elements of our program are sprinkled in to keep things exciting for the scouts, but we do focus on that advancement and our merit badge programs. So here's a quick list of our buy-ups programs. So this is the sprinkle in of high adventure that we have. So these are the options that are available to participants. I do want to point out that our wheels, bows and barrels, and aerial sports buy-up programs are going to be quite limited availability. So when that Black Pug registration opens, make sure that you're on top of it to get your scouts into those programs. All of these will need to be registered for and paid for through the Black Pug registration system. And if you need any help doing that, please feel free to reach out to myself or John. These are some other award opportunities that we have available for your unit at the summit. So the Merit and Honor Unit Award and the Justice Unit of the Week are programs that you can either complete requirements toward or are selected for by our wonderful Justice Scout Camp staff. The rest of the awards are going to be individual awards. So the Summit Participation Award that encourages your scouts to experience all the Summit has to offer, or the Duty to God and Sustainability Awards, which encourage your scouts to be reverent and respecting of our outdoor environment here. And then the Hunter's Education Certification course is another one that I want to point out with that asterisk. There is some work that has to be done in advance for that award or for that certification rather that Johnny is going to describe now.
Thank you so much, Brent. As Brent said, the Hunter Education program here at the summit requires, or it could potentially require, a couple of extra steps, excuse me, that I want to preview for you now. And then if you have any questions about these steps, please don't hesitate to reach out and we'll be happy to help. So the Hunter Education program is one of the most unique programs that we offer here at the summit. in the sense that you don't really find similar programs at many other scout camps. So that said, hunter education can be registered on Blackpug, and there's no cost for the hunter education program, and anyone, youth or adult, can register for a session of hunter education. That said, if participants, youth or adult, want to earn a hunter education card, this card can be exchanged for a hunting license in all 50 states. There are a couple of steps to there are a couple of steps that need to be followed to ensure that you are ready for that process. So the steps are listed here. It includes registering with the West Virginia Department of Natural Resources, completing an online course. There are both free and paid options, bringing proof of completion to camp, and then participating in the hunter education program, including a test before or while you're at camp. So these steps will be shared in the post-meeting follow-up email. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. The process isn't super confusing, but there are, again, a couple of steps to follow to ensure that you are registered and ready to go. And so we'll be more than happy to help if any help is needed. So thanks so much for letting me discuss that, Brent. And I will hand it back over to you for discussion on camp-wide events.
Absolutely. So this is a little subsection of our program that is available to every person on our camp property. So we have our opening and closing campfire program Sunday and Friday. So that Sunday campfire is going to be an outstanding program put on by the Justice Camp staff members for all of your scouts. And then Friday, we're going to ask for your help for your scouts to put on skits and songs for all of us to enjoy. Also, one of our biggest camp-wide events is going to be our Appalachian celebration on Monday. We're going to have live music, field games. There's going to be vendors. There's a shaved ice food truck that comes by that's really, really good. So all sorts of fun stuff for you all to enjoy. And we hope that you will have a great time. Our camp pastor, Greg, provides religious and chapel services Monday evenings, usually right after the Appalachian celebration ends. So we encourage your scouts to participate in those. And if they are looking to complete our Summit Duty to God Award, then that is going to be one of the requirements. We'll go over the Order of the Arrow ceremonies more in depth later in this webinar. So I will skip over those for now. Here we go, Order of the Arrow. So there are 2 OA programs that we hold every single week of camp. So Wednesday night is a rededication ceremony for current members of the Order of the Arrow. So we will take you down to the Summit Circle, which is the Treasure Island ceremonial grounds, which have been relocated to the summit. It's a really cool site, and we'd encourage any OA members to join us on a trip down there. And then on Friday night, we have an Order of the Arrow call-out ceremony to recognize scouts and leaders who have been elected or selected for OA membership. So if your unit has scouts and or leaders that they want to have called out, we need to have verification from your local lodge that they have been elected or selected so that we can call them out. So most lodges have a standard form or letter that they can send, or if you want to have one of your lodge leadership contact us directly and let us know that that scout or leader is eligible to be called out, that's fine as well. You can see both mine and Johnny's email addresses over on the right. So if you have a letter or your lodge leadership wants to know where they can reach out to verify, either of those contacts are perfect. We do have a number of opportunities for our adult leaders. So adult leaders are more than welcome to participate in any activities that we have available for our youth. However, we do ask that you understand the rigors of some of those activities. And if you have any questions about that, our medical staff would be more than happy to help answer them. We do have our coveted Scoutmaster Merit Badge. So this includes rigorous requirements such as providing some light service to the camp, the all-important taking a nap, and getting involved in some of our summit programs. And just like we have for the youth, we do have the Summit Sustainability Award and Summit Duty to God Award that any adult can earn. We have a number of training opportunities as well, everything from our outdoor ethics and leave no trace training to IOLS, which is required for ASMs and Scoutmasters to become trained leaders. We have aquatics trainings put on by our wonderful aquatics team and Trek Safely for folks looking to get out into the backcountry. Next slide, please. All right, Johnny, you want to go for the giveaway?
Absolutely. So we have our winner selected by a randomized Excel function. And our first winner tonight is Matt Jones. So Matt Jones, you have won our first door prize. So Matt, if you are able to do it, you can shoot me an email with your address now. Otherwise, I will follow up with you to the email that you provided to coordinate getting your winnings to you. So congratulations to Matt Jones, our first winner. And quick reminder, we will have one other giveaway at the here in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. So now we will go into discussing registration and planning reminders. Some of these are things that we have discussed previously. A couple of things are new. So for the things that we've discussed previously, I will mention in brief and expand if there are any additional questions. Otherwise, we'll focus on some of the new things that are included in the webinar this evening. Of course, if you have any questions throughout, please put them in the chat or save them to the end, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you so much, Brent, for talking about program. So the first reminder that we discussed last time is we do have a leader guide available at the Summit website, so summitbsa.org/guides. This guide contains many of the answers to many questions about Scout Camp, and we're also looking for feedback. So this is a new format that we are using this year. So if you have any suggestions, we would love to hear those and love to implement some of that feedback. A quick reminder, so again, this is something that we've seen, but a reminder on the registration process. There are two systems with which Scout Camp leaders will interact. So the first is the event management system. This is the system through which you placed your original or initial registration. This is where you name participants and connect them to their scouting profiles to ensure they're registered VSA members. Registration and naming participants in the system is important because this is the system that generates the electronic waivers that go to parents and guardians for youth and to any participant over the age of 18 for themselves. This is also the system through which camp fee payments are made. The Black Pug platform, which unit leaders will be able to access, and parents or guardians may be able to access depending on the decision that you or your unit leader make, is the system that we use for merit badge and program registration for individual scouts. Again, the webinar in March will focus heavily on using the Black Pug platform. That webinar will also be supported by some detailed instructions that we email for using the Black Pug platform. And finally, as a third backup, we're always available to help answer any questions or make changes to Black Pug if there's anything that isn't making sense or with which we can help. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And our goal is to make the process as easy as possible. So a note on the registration process. So some additional supporting notes for registration. As a reminder, all participants, both youth and adult, must be registered members of the BSA without exception. This has to be done through your local council with very few exceptions if you're registered like through the national office or something like that. But you must be registered in the BSA before you arrive at the summit. Our registration team is unable to register anyone in scouting when they arrive. So the way to ensure that everyone is a registered BSA member is to add them to the event management system. That system cross-checks and ensures that registration is current and that all conditions for membership are met. Another reminder, so no adult, and an adult in the BSA is anyone over the age of 18, will be allowed on the summit property without verification of completed youth protection training. So this proof has to be provided. It can be provided on paper, on a phone, on a roster. We're flexible on how we can receive that proof, but please note that that is required. And again, all participants who will be participating in camp must be registered and named in the event management system. If you do have participants who aren't named, you will experience delays. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or our registration team. So a note here, so this is a screenshot of the event management system and where names are entered. You can generate a roster by clicking the print roster button, or if you click the arrow to the right of the print roster button, you can add additional members. Typically, you need the member ID and the last name of the person who is being registered, and the person will need an active My.Scouting account to ensure that their waiver gets signed. So if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. Additionally, the primary unit contact can view the status of the disclaimers that have been accepted or not by the participants in their group. So this is a screenshot of what that looks like. So in this group in particular, all of the members that are visible on the screen have completed their waiver, which is indicated by the green check. So please note that. If you have any difficulties, again, naming or receiving waivers, please reach out and we'll be more than happy to help. I will say most of the time this process goes relatively smoothly despite all of the pieces that are in place for it. But occasionally there are some hiccups, so please don't hesitate to reach out. This slide shows the expected payment schedule. This schedule is very suited to high adventure registration. We understand that many of our units are on slightly different or slightly off of this schedule. So this is the recommended schedule. Within 30 days of registration, 10% of your fees are paid. Within 30 days, after that initial 30 days, 50% of the remaining fees are paid. And then 90 days before your arrival at the summit, the balance of your remaining fees are paid. Now, there are a couple of exceptions. Like I mentioned, a number of you are off of this schedule, which is fine. And there also may be some additional consideration or some individual consideration for individuals in your unit who have applied for camperships. So camperships are requests for financial assistance to offset the fees, offset the camp fees. Decisions on those awards will be made in April. So you can, in fact, we recommend holding off paying for any scout who may receive a campership award until you know the status of that award. Here is some information that we discussed last time about camperships. If you click the link on this slide, and again, we'll share the presentation, you can get some information about how to find the campership form. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and we'll be more than happy to help. But camperships are available and we want to ensure that anyone who needs assistance or would benefit from assistance has the opportunity to request it. So when campership notifications are made, the amount, typically the total amount of the campership awarded will be credited to the balance of your fees. So in this case, the unit received $1,750 in campership fees. That's for multiple participants. And so this unit has a credit of their initial $250 payment and a credit for $1,750 in campership fees noted here as scholarships. So any awards will be reflected in the payment history tab of your event management system profile. There are two categories of items to prepare for your arrival at the summit. The first category addresses some unit pieces that you'll want to have ready. So we recommend having all of your outstanding fees paid before you arrive at the summit. Our published suggestion is 90 days before your arrival. However, if you are later, that's usually okay, or that's okay. We do recommend paying before you arrive. If you are in a situation where you're paying when you arrive at the summit, only checks that are payable or made to the Boy Scouts of America can be accepted. And if you wait to pay until you arrive at the summit, there may be a delay because only a full-time member of the summit registration team can accept those checks. The other unit-specific item that you will need to have is the BSA swim classification record. We discussed that in detail at our last meeting, but if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out and we'll be more than happy to help. This slide details the items that individuals will need to have ready. We discussed this slide last time, so I'll go over it briefly. The first, and I would say critical piece, is the BSA Annual Health and Medical Record, parts A, B, and C. Paper copies need to be brought to the check-in when you arrive at the summit. If anyone in your group needs a consideration for an immunization exemption, the immunization exemption form, which I emailed in the last follow-up email and I will include in the follow-up this time, needs to be attached to the annual health and medical record. As a reminder, the annual health and medical record requires the signature of a licensed healthcare provider, and it also, the summit-specific or general BSA form are acceptable as long as parts A, B, and C are complete. Additionally, everyone will need to have their summit-specific waiver completed. As a reminder, these forms are emailed to participants through the event management system. If a participant, youth or adult, is participating in a whitewater program, either a whitewater trip or the whitewater merit badge program, a whitewater waiver must be completed. For participants under the age of 18, that waiver must be signed by a parent or guardian. That form was included in the last email, and I'll include it in this email too. And then finally, again, as a reminder, all adult participants over the age of 18 must show physical proof of youth protection training completion. There are also some other notes here about medical exemptions, which is a vague and broad category, and specific dietary needs. So specific dietary needs is still being worked out by our food service team, but that information will be available soon. And please rest assured that we do provide accommodations for many, if not all, of the most common specific dietary needs, including kosher, vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free, and several others. So please rest assured if there's any concern about that. A quick note on paperwork sorting. So forms should be sorted alphabetically by type when you arrive. Please do not sort paperwork by participant. So you should have one pile of annual health and medical records sorted alphabetically, one pile of whitewater waivers sorted alphabetically, and so on and so forth. That will save time because that supports and aligns with the way that our team collects the paperwork. So in April, primary unit contacts listed in the event management system will receive requests to complete what we call an arrival card. The arrival card allows you to tell us about your travel plans. So on this form or through this card, you can request an early arrival and or late departure. You can let us know your expected arrival time and the method of travel that you're using to get to us. You can put the number of vehicles and whether you're traveling with another crew for another program, and you can tell us about any electricity needs that anyone in your unit may need. So when the time comes, we'll be more than happy to help with this. Again, this has not come out yet. This information is sent later on in the process to reflect the reality that plans change usually until April or May. So that's why it's sent out on the timeline that it is. But again, once you receive that information, or if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. As a reminder, Brent mentioned this earlier, but as an additional reminder, we strongly encourage Justice Scout Camp units to arrive at the summit between noon and 2 p.m. on the day of their arrival. Like Brent mentioned before, that ensures that we have enough time to complete the full check-in process and that no parts are, or very few parts are abbreviated. So that's our suggestion. It is totally fine, of course, to arrive before, during, or after this window, and we will be accommodating and friendly and welcoming no matter what. We offer this suggestion because this will ensure the best check-in experience for your group. Okay. This is a reminder about the things that are provided or not in our base camp or in our campsites for the operation. So dome tents for Scout camp participants need to be rented through the event management system. If you don't rent tents, please make sure that you bring your own. We do provide cots for all participants, regardless of whether they're staying in a summit tent or not. Each campsite will have a dining canopy, a 10-foot by 20-foot dining canopy provided, as well as picnic tables, an above-ground fire ring, and then shower houses, which we call polygons here at the summit, with flush toilets, mirrors, sinks, and potable water are nearby. Additionally, Wi-Fi is available throughout most of the central part of the summit. So if you are a leader, if you need to get some work done, that will be an opportunity for you when you are here. As a reminder, if you have any additional room in your unit for scouts who may need a troop to visit the summit because they can't come with your group, we suggest checking out the Scout Connection page or posting any availability or options there. It is a great way to meet other units and to offer some space to a scout who might need it. So suggestion there for the Scout Connections, a great resource to connect some folks who might need it. Always plugging seasonal staff. So if you have a great scout who just became 18, or anyone in your unit, anyone in Scouts, anyone who maybe isn't in Scouts, but would do well in a youth serving program, we are hiring for our 2024 seasonal staff. So great news, we've had a fairly robust hiring season for the James C. Justice National Scout Camp specifically, but we do have a number of openings in other areas, including things like whitewater rafting guides, ATV guides, mountain biking instructors, and pretty much everything in between. So check out summitbsa.org/jobs, and we would love to talk to anyone who's interested in coming and spending the summer with us. A reminder about the upcoming webinars. So we have one more kind of group-wide webinar scheduled for Tuesday, March 26, 2024. Same time, same place. I will send the Zoom meeting information as I did for the previous two. And then we will have an optional webinar, so no required information will be offered. So I kind of see the April 16th webinar like office hours. But we will have a webinar on April 16th that anyone can join for specific assistance with registration questions. So we'll be happy to do that. you are, of course, welcome to get in touch with us at any time, and we'll be more than happy to help out and see what we can do. So just a quick plug there. So we do have some questions here, and I had a couple of questions submitted online. Those questions were submitted just a little late, so I didn't have time to incorporate them into the presentation. So I'll start with those, and then we will go through the chat, and then anyone will be welcome to ask questions at the end. So before we do that, I have our second and final giveaway winner to announce. Again, chosen randomly in Excel. Our second winner is Laura Kimball. So Laura Kimball is our second winner for this evening. Laura, if you can shoot me an email with your information, with your address, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll be reaching out to you by email right after the webinar within the next couple of days, and we will get your winnings mailed to you soon. So congratulations to Laura on being our second winner this evening. So wouldn't be a scouting or camp plug without a plug for the trading post. So visit Garden Ground Outfitters or store.summitbsa.org for some information on ordering or pre-ordering some great Summit swag. The good news is that the bunker, the main trading post of the Summit, is kind of located in the heart of Scout Camp. So you will have plenty of opportunity there. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So we have a couple of questions in the chat. Brent's done a fantastic job of answering pretty much all of these, but I will go through and add any additional context. So if you're good and you don't have any other questions, you're welcome to depart us now. If you do have more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and in about 2 or 3 minutes, I will allow participants to unmute. So if you have any questions that you'd rather ask verbally, you'll have that opportunity then. So for those leaving us, thank you so much for joining us. We are looking forward to seeing you soon. For those who are staying with us, I do want to answer a couple of questions. So let's see. So buy-up programs are available for unit leaders. A quick note, I don't think this applies to many people, but I know it applies to at least 1 or 2. If you have any scouts or leaders who are being called out for Order of the Arrow membership, who are participating in the Summit experience, so not in Scout Camp, but in the Summit experience, please reach out to us. We can make individual plans and preparations for those scouts and leaders. Otherwise, if you have participants being called out in Scout Camp, again, we just need that verification, usually in the form of a letter, sometimes in the form of an email, whatever it is, to ensure that we know they are supposed to be called out. So let's see. Yes, so buy-up fees are refundable. We do recommend registering for programs for scouts who are committed. Although we understand things do happen. It usually takes a couple of weeks to refund any fees paid for buy-up, so just keep that in mind when you're making those plans and payments. Let's see, so we have a question about synchronizing the data from the event management system in Blackpug. So the bad news is that doesn't happen automatically. The good news is that we offer to do that for anyone who would like us to. We don't do it by default because we don't want to step on any toes. Some of you are very familiar and very comfortable with Blackpug. If that's the case, we want to let you have it and handle anything that you would like. If you are less comfortable, or if you just want us to do it, we will offer. All we ask is that you let us know you want us to enter that information. So we'll provide detailed information to everyone in advance of that happening. We have a question about the opening time. Yes, I was actually talking with someone about this just over the weekend. We do open at 7:15 p.m. I do realize that a lot of places open in the morning. Your camp director is very much a morning person during the summer, but very much not a morning person throughout the rest of the year. And so that's one consideration. And then the other consideration is that we found that it's usually more convenient for unit leaders to register in the evening. And particularly on a Thursday, there tend to be fewer other things happening like scout meetings or church on that evening. And so that's why we chose that date and time. Let's see. So would you share info? Okay, so we typically don't share that information about other troops attending the same week from certain areas, but we can help out with that. So if you shoot me an email, we'll be happy to talk with you or at least look to see if there are any other emails. A lot of times the way that looks is we'll see if anyone else is coming and then reach out to a unit leader and say, hey, someone is interested in maybe coordinating travel arrangements. Would you be interested in that? So we can talk about that if you shoot me an email. Let's see. Yep. So please keep all the forms together in alphabetical orders. Scout trailers are allowed in campsites. Let's see. Yeah, so we have a great question about parent access for Black Pug. So we provide detailed instructions for enabling the parent portal in advance of that registration opening. And so we also leave that decision to the unit leader. So if the unit leader decides not to enable the parent portal, that is they have the latitude to do that. We found that most unit leaders will choose to enable the parent portal, but we do allow that to be a unit leader decision. And again, as with every other aspect of Black Pug, if you have any questions about that or need any assistance, we'll be more than happy to help. So please just reach out there. Let's see. Yeah, so Tracy, yeah, if you have a parent who's dropping off, they can participate in the tour, especially if they have YPT. That is totally fine. Yeah, so we do allow boy and girl troops to camp virtually right next door to each other. So no worries there. It's very, very common for units to be linked troops. And so that's totally good. There's no, like your boys have to camp over here and then your girls have to camp across here. So we have the room, we have the space to provide space for just male units, just female units, and for those units who want to camp together. So whatever you prefer, we can typically accommodate. So Merit Badge and Program registration opens on Thursday, April 18th at 7:15 p.m. So make sure you mark that, and we will make sure that we send, like I said, very detailed information about that process. Let's see if we need to enter the participants in Black Pug. Will we have access in advance? Yeah, so Heather, absolutely. Your access to Black Pug will happen sometime in March. So you'll have several weeks, if not a month or longer, before Merit Badge and Program registration opens to ensure that all of the names are entered and to become familiar and comfortable with the system. Let's see. So yeah, so Monica, to enable the parent portal, we'll provide detailed instructions for how to do that. It's actually super simple, and basically requires you to click over a button. And again, if you need any assistance with that, we'll be more than happy to help. Let's see. Yeah, so if you have mixed units or male and female unit leaders coming, then or units coming, then yeah, like I said, they can basically all come very close to camping together. So they can't be in the same site, but they can be right next to each other. So we do accommodate that. That's a very common request. So that's totally good. Yeah, you're more than welcome to bring any tents you'd like if you're not using one of our tents. I think I mentioned this last time, but there is plenty of there's plenty of space for everyone who's camping. So feel free to bring what will make you most comfortable and take up as much, really as much space as you would like. Let's see. Eric asks a question about scouts coming from Canada. So we do have a couple of groups coming from Canada this year. And so, Eric, I'd be happy. I think what I'll do is I will work out some specifics or some things that are related or similar paperwork wise, and then I'll host a specific call or meeting maybe for our friends from Canada, and we can go over that then. But our goal is to make that process as easy as possible. Yeah, so if you have parents coming for partial weeks, reach out to us on an individual basis. We'll be more than happy to work that out. It just requires a couple of things that a member of our registration team has to click on or off to make sure that works. But we can absolutely work that out. And Monica asks, what programs can adults participate in? The answer is actually every program that we offer, both merit badges and buy-ups. So really all of our programs are open to the adults, which is one of the reasons I've seen a couple of questions about our fees. So that's one of the reasons why our fees are set how they are, is because adults have access to all of the things that we offer. Let's see. Yeah, so Tracy asked a question, would a parent be able to come visit in the evening? They have YPT. So in contrast to some camps, we don't have an official family night. However, we do our best to be very accommodating. So if you have any questions about a parent coming to visit a scout, please reach out on an individual basis, and we'll be more than happy to make those arrangements. So we are definitely able to do that. So please just let us know if someone wants to visit. We're pretty accommodating, pretty understanding. Yeah, so adults are welcome to register for merit badge classes if they would like, or they can also just show up to those classes. But they're welcome to participate. We have the materials and supplies needed, and so that is one element of our program. All right. So like I mentioned before, we did have a couple of questions submitted online, so I want to answer those now. The first is regarding registration in the event management system. Like I mentioned before, the primary things that you as a unit leader need to register your scouts are a BSA ID number and the last name of the individual. Individuals you're registering do need to have a My.Scouting account, which many people do, but some may not. So a parent or guardian may need to help their scout set that up. There's also a question about Blackbook. So like I mentioned, we'll provide detailed instructions, including screenshots for the use of Blackpug. And as always, if you have any questions, please make sure to reach out. The next and final question or group of questions, I should say, that were submitted. Will swimming merit badge take place in a swimming pool or a lake? The answer is a lake. All aquatics activities take place on Goodrich Lake West. The summit does not presently have an in-ground or above-ground pool. There's a question about extra merit badges that scouts can earn on Friday. So merit badges on Friday are part of our program, and so if a scout would like to work on a merit badge on Friday, they will absolutely have that opportunity. Like Brent mentioned before, many merit badges take place on a single day, for a half day, or for the whole day. There are some merit badges that take place over two either mornings or two afternoons on two different days. And the rationale for that is that those merit badges tend to be either heavier or benefit from a break. So for example, cooking merit badge over 2 days allows us to ensure that scouts are able to plan a menu on their own and that they can cook the food that they planned on that. And the final question here is that if a scout completes all prerequisites, then can that scout complete the merit badge by attending the session? And the answer is typically yes, absolutely. So for example, the the personal management merit badge requires that scouts track their expenses for 1 quarter, right? 13 weeks. And so you can't do that at camp. We're not here quite that long. However, if the scout completes that task beforehand and brings documentation of completing that task, then the counselor will review it. If everything looks in line, then the counselor will sign off on that merit badge. And so we'll talk about specifically what that looks like, but we want to be as accommodating as possible. We want to ensure that your scouts have all of the opportunities that they need to complete the merit badges while ensuring that the merit badges are worked in the spirit that they were intended to be worked. So that means no shortcuts, no requirement adjustments. That means completing the requirements as written, and then we'll give scouts credit for anything that they do outside of just a scout camp. Let's see. So Sherry, yes. So if you are registering a provisional scout, as long as you have that scout's BSA ID number and last name, then you can register them on your unit registration. So any registered scout and any unit can be added to your registration. I think that's kind of a special case for you, although it might apply to a couple of others. But yeah, rest assured that anyone registered in scouting will have can be added to a unit registration. Yeah, so James asked a question about additional Brown C programming. Scheduled right now, no, but there may be opportunities for that, and we will we'll work on relaying that information to you once we consider that and make some determinations in place. So we will definitely consider that that suggestion of additional merit badges for Brown C. Frankly, our thought is that in Brown C, including two merit badges and quite a bit of intense advancement rank advancement work, scouts would benefit from a break, and so that's our thought there. But we can certainly consider any that request and see what might make sense. Okay. So those are all of the submitted questions or questions in the chat. So again, if you are all set, then you're more than welcome to log out now. Otherwise, I have enabled unmuting. So if you have a question that you want to ask orally, then please please feel free to unmute and ask that question now. In the meantime, I will answer the question from Cynthia that just got added to the chat. Yeah, so if you still have a crossover who's registered as a Cub Scout, so they will need to be registered as a Scouts BSA participant first. If you have to add them at a later date, that's totally fine. If you're still having some issues, Cynthia, please reach out individually, and we'll be happy to try to assist. There may be something that's off on our end, although typically there's something off on the council end or a specific consideration there. So please reach out and we'll do our best to help with that question for sure. All right. So again, if you are all set, you're more than welcome to depart us now. Otherwise, I have enabled the ability for participants to unmute. So if you'd like to unmute and ask a question, please feel free to do so. And we are still looking at the chat. So please feel free to ask. Okay, so not seeing any additional questions, and it doesn't look like anyone is unmuting. So at that point, we will say our meeting has concluded. thank you so much for joining us this evening. We cannot wait to see you here at the summit very soon. Please um, reach out by phone or by email if there's anything with which we can help. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we can't wait to see you soon. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.